Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Western Oklahoma Game Night. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog, here with you on a potentially stormy night in Western Oklahoma as we are keeping an eye on the sky for incoming dry line adverse reactions, I guess you could call it. It's springtime in Oklahoma, and that's what we deal with around here. And some people take it lightly. Some people take it real seriously. I'm kind of in between. I think I've 30 years of police work. I might have a little inkling on how to know when it's getting for real. But you know what? As I get older, I don't even care. I just take the precautions. And we're here with you on Wednesday night, and special episode tonight, as normally the Wednesday night Western Oklahoma sports game night has just been me kind of yakking about sports. But tonight we have an actual an actual personality here for you, and it's going to be Newt Huntley. And for those of you who see this on YouTube, our Lawdog Sports YouTube page, you'll see that Newt is in a studio much like mine, just kind of a little offshoot of the residence, and many fandom issues displayed, and I'm trying to adjust to where people can see all of my ugly mug. Maybe it'll help me work on my posture. But Newt Huntley is from the Sooner State Baseball Report. And I tell you, folks, I found this Twitter page and website last baseball season. And you talk about a valuable resource. And Newt, I got to commend you, the work you guys put in on all of this information and scores and baseball. There is Game Changer out there for baseball, but you know, at the end of the day, somebody's got to harvest all those results from Game Changer. You guys do an outstanding job.
Well, I appreciate that, Chuck. Really, really do. That means a lot. And to get positive feedback is always um, great to hear, and really makes it worthwhile. Because you wonder sometimes is anybody really paying attention? Are people really wanting this? And so when I hear people, whether it be just fans,
Yeah.
coaches, even had a college player reach out to me, DM me the other day. He said, hey, I'm not sure about this. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
I was trying to think if your Twitter page was the one that kind of, yeah, I think I got it from your Twitter page and I used it. I'm formerly sports director at Wright Media for Weatherford, Clinton, and Elk City. I stepped down from that. Now I just do play-by-play. But I want to say I think I pulled a tweet that you sent out, and I refuse to call it X, but you sent out a tweet about the, I think, 17 RBI night, I think it was, that Caden Powell had at Seminole Junior College.
Yes, I think it was 16.
16,
He had a
yeah.
four home runs, 16 RBI
Yeah.
game.
And
Yeah.
I saw that from following you on Twitter, and that made a great sports story for us because Caden Powell was a kid from Clinton, and I got to
Hmm.
call a few of their games his senior year. Great player, and you know, we can get into the whole semantics about why it didn't work out at OU, but regardless, he's moved on and going to do great. But that was one of those situations. I was like, man, thank you, Sooner State Baseball Report, because that would have glided past my attention had I not seen that tweet.
Yeah, I actually got that from somebody else tweeted that. I saw that. So I can't take all the credit for just seeing it, but I saw that, and it was just a generic junior college account.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, some people in Oklahoma need to know this one.
Well, for sure. And I tell you, with baseball playoffs, really, we've got state tournament hopefully starting tomorrow in the lower classes or the smaller classes, and then uh, tickets being punched to state now, and particularly Western Oklahoma is funny because we are chock full of A and B teams. We've
Hmm.
got just one or two, maybe three 2A teams, and then our breadbasket is 4A. So,
Right.
you know, with Clinton, Weatherford, and Elk in out here, and then really Hydro Eakley, and really Hydro Eakley's kind of been the only contender in Class A baseball that we've had in recent times. Thomas, they're one of those schools, and it's funny because in the Class A and B, the schools that have football really don't they really don't hang that great with the schools that play fall ball, and
Right.
that's just a common truth.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, and you talk about Elk, and Elk is one I think one of the better teams. I think they're a state title contender for 4A for sure. And one of the better teams. I mean, we do that silly dominant dozen ranking that we do,
Yeah.
and they've climbed up. They've been steady on the climb all year long, and I don't remember exactly where they were the last regular season ranking, but yeah, they're one of the better teams in the state out there.
Well, I'm the voice of Weatherford sports, and it was tough to go to Chickasha and just kind of see the division there between the teams. And we're talking about some games against uh, Chickasha where Weatherford came out and really tried to get something going, and just sometimes those teams just have more arms, more bats than what you can throw out there. And really, what I've noticed in 4A, and this goes for Elk City and seeing some Tuttle, and then also the Chickasha regional is 2 to 3 good solid starting arms, and then if you can get hits from any portion of your lineup on any given day, you're going to hurt some teams, and especially if you pressure them on the base paths, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, I think in any level of baseball, whether you're talking about high school, college, or professional, the more arms you got, the better chance you're going to be. And so, if you got one or two really dominant arms at the top, especially in the mid classes, 3A, 4A, you got a leg up on everybody. And you brought up Tuttle, and Tuttle, they're just, I mean, I don't know if their pitching is as good as it has been, but I think it's good enough with as good as the offense that they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they've got that Tuttle attitude. And what I mean
Yes,
by
they do.
that is they go into each and every game, believing that they're going to win, and
Mm-hmm.
believing that they're going to pressure the other team. And it's a formula, and Coach Draper has that team, always ready. And last year, there's no way I would have figured that they would have gotten past Elk City, especially with Coach McClure basically in the state tournament, saving Cash Mayfield to take on the Tigers specifically. And that
Mm-hmm.
tournament last season, Tuttle faced 3 Division I arms, I believe, in that tournament, and
Yeah.
and got to all of them. So they're kind of that Ric Flair in Class 4A to me. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And it's just, until they go down, they're like Jason from Friday the Third. I know a lot of analogies,
Right.
but they're
Yeah, I
like
know.
Jason from Friday the 13th. Until they're gone, don't count them out.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, I think they're the favorite for the state title. I mean, the coaches ranked them number one going into the areas for a reason. Um, but I think that I don't. This is going to sound really bad because I think their standard was so high. I don't know if they're quite as good as they have been the last couple of years,
Sure.
but that just brings them back closer, I think, to the rest of the field a little bit. But I still think I would, if you, I don't like to pick high school games or who's going to win a tournament in high school. I don't think that's fair to high school players. But
Oh, I've got
I think
lines,
that
buddy. I've got
oh,
over.
you got lines.
No,
uh,
no, I do not. I
but
do
yeah,
not.
I would say the total is probably the favorite going in. They obviously clinched today, beat Broken Bow twice, 14-0, and then, so they're in, and I think they're the favorite going to the 4A tournament.
Yeah, and then
But
Chickasha.
it's not, but they're not as unbeatable as they
No,
have.
no. And Chickasha is an amazing story, and I tried to, I taper my comments on social media, particularly Twitter, because I never. I mean, I might get more clicks if I did, but I hate to inflame a fan base. But I am
Mm-hmm.
stunned with the job that Kevin James has done at Chickasha, because I saw them 2 seasons ago at the Marlow Regional, and they were awful. And some
Yeah.
of those players that they have now that play so well were playing then, but they just Kevin James came in there, and he's got an old high school buddy of mine as an assistant, Travis Owen. But what he's done in 2 seasons there, because they were competitive last year, and then
Mm-hmm.
this season they've got Leighton Bryan, who I don't follow recruiting, but I would have to think he's a D1 prospect. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if not D1, a significant D2 or something like that. But they are a quality team. But I mean, they're one of those teams that if they fell into a game against Tuttle until they knock them down, I'm going to take Tuttle because they fell to them twice in the regular season.
Right.
That's just kind of the edge that those teams have.
That is correct. And we can sit here and talk about Tuttle all day long.
No,
And
I don't
like you
want to.
said, well, yeah, but like you said, and I love your analogy. They are the Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and they
Yeah,
do. They definitely do have that attitude, and it's deserved. I mean, and it really is deserved. I think, and I'm not just a fan of baseball. I'm a fan of all sports,
sure.
and they have that in every sport,
Yeah.
you know, and it's
Yeah,
well deserved.
we took a beating there in the first round of the Class 4A football playoffs, and it's that old, it's like Seinfeld with Newman. It's like Tuttle. But
Yeah,
ways, but Elk City, as you mentioned, you had them moving up the rankings, and what Coach McClure has done there is amazing as well. No district losses in 3 seasons, and that's Clinton has had some downturn here in the last couple of years with some youth and inexperience. Weatherford has had to this season had to replace several key contributors from last season, but 2 seasons ago, Weatherford and Clinton were really solid programs, and the fact that Jay McClure's gone 3 seasons without a district loss is pretty stunning.
that is incredible. That's actually incredible. I would like to do some research. I might do some research and see if anybody else has done that in the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
and
and
and they're every district, Newt. Now, do you go by Newt or
Newt's fine.
Newt?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Uh,
actually a nickname,
okay.
but
Is that
yeah,
from
that's
Lonesome
fine.
Dove?
No, it's an old. I've been called that ever since I was a baby. My
Okay.
dad. There's some old family story. I'm not quite sure what it is,
Yeah,
and
I,
I've been called that by my family and close friends
yeah.
and my whole life. So
We're visiting with Newt Huntley of Sooner State Baseball Report. Be sure and follow them on Twitter at Sooner State BSBL, or just search Sooner State Baseball Report. And also go to their website, SoonerStateBaseballReport.com. And I tell you, last season, as I mentioned, there was a lot of times I would go to your website and find scores that I just was drawing wind on Twitter or Facebook. So a
yeah,
vital resource if you follow sport baseball, particularly high school baseball in Oklahoma. But no, we were talking about Elk City, and like I said, it's easy. Cash Mayfield committed to OSU basically since he was a sophomore. He's just an outstanding pitcher, truly dominant. And then they do have a lot of other pieces as well, and just they're another team that can just kind of chisel away at you even when you think you're being competitive. You're hanging with them, and then next thing you know, they're up 4 runs or something, and so it's going to be a fun Class 4A state tournament.
it is, and like you said, like we talked about, I think that it's more than just Tuttle, and it's more than just Elk City, and it's more than Chickasha. A team that I would keep an eye on is Mount St. Mary.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
they their star pitcher, Parker Hayes. He's a sophomore. He's actually from Norman, where I'm from, and his parents and I know each other pretty well. His older brother played with my boys, and I was talking to the parents, and I was saying they're not having quite the season I thought they would, and make a long story short, they've been short 2 pitchers this year, and it looks like they may be back this week. I don't know if they're going to be back for sure. That last week when I was talking to someone, they may be back. So if they're back and they can get some run support for those pitchers, that's a team that to look out for.
yeah, yeah. And I believe Weatherford might have faced them at one point in time. And let me see here. Yeah, I want to say Weatherford might, or maybe Elk City faced them and fell to them. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that, and
I
that's
don't I don't know if they fell to them. I'll pull it up here just as we're talking, but
yeah,
yeah, I just they're a team that they they can play with just about anybody because of their pitching.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, they're a team, and they moved down. They're moving down. They're in 3A this year. I forgot they moved down. We're talking about 4A,
That's what I
and
was
I just
thinking. But they
yeah,
played
I
well last year and
yes.
were really, really competitive also there too. And then, you know, like I said, I wish we had more 3A teams out here in Western Oklahoma. We just, Kingfisher and Hennessy would be, well, Kingfisher's 4A, but some of these schools just bounce around in different classes per sport.
Right.
But I know I think Hennessy's in 3A. We've got Sayer in 2A, they and Merritt in 2A. They haven't been super strong as of late, but maybe those are a couple of squads. But I tell you, and real quick, as I don't want to keep you too long because you're probably wanting to keep an eye of the sky as well. But the Class A and B baseball state tournaments feature some great matchups. And
Mhm.
particular to us here in Western Oklahoma, Arapahoe Butler takes on Dewar, which Dewar's just kind of been a powerhouse the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, they really came, I think, came on the scene last year, and this year they've actually been one of the more consistent teams out there. They've only lost twice this year. One to the number one team, Class A team in Tushka, and they lost to the number one 2A team in Oklahoma not too long ago, and that was an extra inning, 1 run game. The Tushka game was a close game too. So when you look at Class A, I mean, these teams aren't from the West. I'm sorry, but I was put a preview out there today. Tushka, Dewar, and Rattan, they're separated by 7 ranking points, 1 through 3, and so and I think Rattan is actually maybe playing the best out of 3 of them. They're ranked number 3 right now, so
Yeah.
it's going to be a really Class A looks like to be an exciting state tournament. Class B, I think, you're going to see some good games, but I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be between Fort Cobb and Calumet in the finals. I just don't see anybody else beating those teams getting into the finals.
Yeah. And Calumet came, and real quick, also just want to mention, you mentioned Tushka. Canute takes them on tomorrow. So 1:30 in Shawnee,
Mm-hmm.
Canute versus Tushka. The Trojans under new coach, well, second year coach Cody. No, not Cody.
No, it's
Bobby Blackburn. Bobby
I
Blackburn
just yes,
came up from Cordell, and then AB takes on Dewar at 6:30 at Shawnee tomorrow. But in Class B, Granite has not been. I know Fort Cobb Broxton's prohibitive favorite, probably to maybe pull off. Would that be 2 or 3 straight spring titles that they would win if they
it
win?
would be two straight, but 4 total.
Yes,
You
because
can
they
put
pulled the
the fall balls
trifecta
in.
last year, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
the
and
triple
so
crown or
yeah, yeah. But Fort Granite has been pretty solid. So that's going to be an interesting at more at 11:30. But then Calumet versus Roth, and Roth has been kind of the bane of a few of these Western Oklahoma teams in a lot of
mm-hmm.
sports out here. So
Yeah.
Class B, like you said, I would say after seeing Weatherford face both Calumet and Fort Cobb, I might give the edge a little bit to the Mustangs.
Right.
But really, if it got down to that, it could really go either way.
Yeah, I think so too. But like you said, I would probably give the edge to the Mustangs. I mean, they've got Eli Willis, one of maybe the best
Yeah,
2 or 3 players in the state, regardless of graduating class. So
yeah, and he's got a brother that's just lacing the ball out at Norman too.
yeah, he found his groove
Yeah.
finally. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you, we'll be following you during the Class A and B state tournaments, and then also through definitely the 4A state tournament. I'll try to pay a little bit of attention to 2A and 3A too. How that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
anyways, on you guys also provide D2 NAI and JUCO coverage on your website. So, what all entails of really being able to canvas that?
It's just really we do the D1s as well. I mean, we don't
Yeah,
cover
yeah,
the OU, OSU, or OU as in depth because other people do that, but we try to do as much with the other ones as we can. It's just really trying to uh, just cultivate. I'm trying to cultivate some relationships with the coaches of those schools, just trying to bring attention to them.
yeah,
I think just kind of trying to still build the brand and hopefully they understand that I'm not trying to do anything funny or anything like that. I'm just really trying to promote baseball here in Oklahoma. And these 2 years that the SSBR has been here, I haven't really had a chance to get out very much because my own boys are playing college baseball. So when I could go to games, I'm going to their games as I'm a dad first. So,
Hope
but
so.
after this year that's going to change, but yeah, but as far as what it entails, I just really try to pay attention to what's going on. You know, the information is right at your fingertips to try to get it out there,
Yeah,
and it's just like you said, you know, game changer is great. It's just a matter of somebody trying to I guess I never thought about trying to harvest that information and put it in one spot, and that's what I've been doing. And like I said, through this, I have with certain teams, I have built some relationships with coaches and representatives of those teams, and they gave me some really good information and point me in the right direction as well.
yeah. Well, and also it's a resource that doesn't throw a bunch of opinionated stuff out there to try to generate clicks. It's just
Right.
it's solid information and scores and things like that. And it really is a valuable resource. I will fully admit you were robbed from a lot during my time as sports director at Right Media. So
Well, I'm glad I could help.
well, and on your website, there's a podcast page, but I noticed nothing really since last August. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
going to
know it can be
change.
tough.
That's going to change. To be honest with you, Chuck, I'm new to all this. To be honest with you, um, this site was just or this as Sooner State Baseball Report is a passion project right now,
Yeah,
and just learning as I go. I've not been in the business like you have or anything like that. I just
well,
thought, hey, I love baseball. It's something that I think is grossly undercovered in the state of Oklahoma for as good as of a baseball state that we are,
for
and
sure.
and that's why SSPR was created. And learn as I go, and definitely we're going to be trying to do some podcasts here in the future.
Definitely look forward to it. Real quick, before we get you out of here, tell us about yourself. Uh, I assume you're in the metro area and kind of have access to a lot of programs within a 20-30 minute drive and things like that. And just tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm just a dad who has a couple boys that grew up playing baseball. And one thing that I noticed, you know, they they were pretty good, and so we were able to be on some teams that are going up to travel, not just here in the Oklahoma City metro area. We're based out of Norman, and but when we play teams from out of state, I thought, man, Oklahoma baseball is just as good as some of these teams. Now, you talk about Texas and states like that, they're gonna have more just because they have more people,
Yeah,
top level teams. But I think per capita, Oklahoma baseball is just as good as anywhere.
I
And
think
I just noticed that it was something that was underreported, undercovered, and I felt like I've always wanted to do something like that personally. I'm a huge sports fan. I love the fact that you have Wayman Tisdale on your wall. By the way, he's one of my childhood heroes, and so I just felt like I wanted to try something, see what would happen, and you know started last January of 2023, still going strong, gaining followers every day. And like I said, I don't want to be controversial. I just want to put the information out there, cover it, promote it, do what I can. I'm not going to hold any silly contests, try to gain followers or anything like that. And it's been a steady climb and one that has been really fun to do.
yeah. Yeah, and like I said, we'll do our best to share your content and your social media, particularly Twitter, because that's kind of where all the sports is. And I get what
Mhm.
you're saying because one thing about out here in Western Oklahoma and our Lawdog Sports podcast, which we restarted back in the beginning of May, I think it was. No, April.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was April.
yeah,
Uh,
we're in May now.
yeah, the month has gone. The month of April went quick. But we talk a little bit of OU, Thunder, things like that, but it's tough with that because you're going up against people with a lot bigger outlet and and people with a lot more insider information and things like that. And so I get what you're saying. And with this on Wednesday nights, it's just kind of a live thing that we're trying to grow and get people to tune into, particularly when we're talking about the high school teams in Western Oklahoma and with SWASU their baseball, their coach Zach Saunders just stepped down and retired.
Right.
So a lot of things going on in Western Oklahoma that we try to maybe do something live with, grow it into something else. But I commend you for what you do. So where do your sons play collegiately?
They are playing at Redlands Community College, and this is their second year, and they have actually decided that they're going to hang up their spikes, so to speak. So,
Yeah, yeah.
they gave it a shot. They still love the sport, love the game, but they're ready to move on and start that new chapter in their life. So support them from that. They're going to be sad to not go. Like this weekend is their last. Unfortunately, the team's not going to make the postseason.
Yeah.
So this is it for the Huntley family to at the baseball field together this coming weekend. So, but that's where they play.
Well, good.
Is at
And
Redlands.
your ball cap display back there, I see a C, and my partner Jeremy Schroeder would love that. He's a big Cubs fan, and
Oh
uh,
yeah,
but hey, I tell you, it's so much baseball that you still have left to cover. So I'm gonna let you
okay,
tune out and get some rest and prepare
yeah.
for a bunch of state tournament play.
I'm on my phone here, and the scores are coming in as we speak. So
Well, let me let you get back to work, and we'll keep promoting your Twitter page and your website. Man, Newt Huntley, thank you so much for your time, and appreciate your opportunity to come on here and visit.
I appreciate you having me on. I'll come back anytime you want me to.
Sounds great. We'll plan on
All
maybe
right,
a postseason wrap up. How about that?
sounds good, Chuck. Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's Newt Huntley from the Sooner State Baseball Report. Be sure and follow them on Twitter, and then also check them out at SoonerStateBaseballReport.com. So I will we don't really have a break here, but I'm going to get into some soccer and Western Oklahoma stuff, and we will be covering a lot of other things as well as we look forward to some soccer playoffs coming up. And then also we have slow pitch tournaments, as I mentioned. It was a let me see if I can help you let's see here, Newt. Let me get you out of here if
Okay.
you're ready. Where do I even do that? I'm really showing my age. I think you just have to leave the meeting.
Sounds good. I'll
All
do
right.
that
Hey,
then.
thanks, Newt. We appreciate you very much,
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chuck.
buddy. All right, Newt Huntley from Sooner State Baseball Report. We appreciate him very much. So tomorrow, some slow pitch going on today. It was the Class 4A slow pitch state tournament at the Hall of Fame, and it was the Hinton Lady Comets losing to Picola 17-0, and then Picola went on to lose as well, and Silo, I believe, is the state champion there. And then 2A slow pitch, Arapahoe Butler fell to Surreal 18-3. Canute Trojanettes lost to Wacomas 3-1. Surreal went on to win the Class 2A slow pitch state tournament. And then in Class A, that starts tomorrow. Binger Oni takes on, Binger Oni. Class A was today. My apologies. Class A, Binger Oni defeated Moss 16-5. Then they beat Stewart 15-3. Hammond Lady Warriors fell to Stewart 24-22. And Turner is playing, I think, Binger Oni for the championship. I was looking on OSSAA rankings and trying to get a score on that and didn't have anything right offhand, but we'll try to keep up with the Binger Oni progress, as it looks like they have lost to Turner 12-2. So Turner is the state champion, and that's the Class A number 4 defeating Class A number 1 Bingeroni Lady Bobcats, falling in the finals to Turner 12-2 this evening at the Hall of Fame Stadium. And then in Class B, Lukiba Sickles defeated Mountain View Godibo 3-2, and Leedy defeated Chattanooga 14-1. And then they lost to Caney 9-8. And if I'm correct, Caney and Lukiba Sickles are playing now. They started at 8:30, so we'll see. Probably find out a score on that later. So Lukiba Sickles and Caney in the state finals. So two teams from Caddo County playing for a state tournament in the slow pitch state championship. So nice job there. So real quick, let me see who's buzzing in, and we will. All right, we'll see what's going on. But so soccer first round last night, particularly in Western Oklahoma, it was a big night in Clinton and Weatherford as both boys and girls teams for the Eagles and the Red Tornadoes got victories. Over at the Tornado Bowl, the Clinton girls beat Bethany 3-1, and Sammy Mraz, Alexis Zambrano, and Emma McComas got goals in that one and defeated the Lady Broncos 3-1. That means that now the Lady Reds will travel to, and here's a drum roll for you. And I think finally, Ulaga Talala. And that is quite the trip, which Ulaga Talala is like 30 or 45 minutes northeast of Tulsa, and it's way up there in green country. But Clinton Lady Reds will travel there tomorrow night. I'm sorry, Friday night. 7 o'clock will be the kickoff time at Ulaga. And then the Clinton boys got a 3-1 win over Medill. Humberto Madera scored to make it 1-0 in the 11th minute. Austin Reynaga made it 2-1 after Medill had pulled one back on a penalty. His goal was in the 47th minute. And then Alex Martinez scored the security goal as well at the 53rd minute, and the Clinton boys win it 3-1. They are going to host Tulsa Nathan Hale Friday night at 7 p.m. at the Tornado Bowl. So Clinton, via their district championship, are in the home winners bracket, or the home field advantage in their side of the bracket. And if they beat Tulsa Nathan Hale, which they defeated Victory Christian 1-0, and I told Todd Bruner, or I told Heston Wright, our owner at Wright Media, that you don't normally see a Tulsa public school defeat a private school in the Tulsa area. But Tulsa Nathan Hale obviously probably has some pretty good players to get the 1-0 victory there. But Clinton going for the four-peat, and after last night, watching Weatherford take on Chickasha, which was a tough matchup. It's going to be an interesting semifinals or quarterfinals coming up this Friday. But Clinton is hosting Tulsa Nathan Hale. On their side of the bracket, Fort Gibson is taking on Bethany. The Broncos defeated Woodward 2-0, and Fort Gibson defeated Rejoice Christian 6-1. Now, Clinton faced Fort Gibson early in the season on a very rainy night on the road. So that one will be an interesting one to see as well. And then also on the other side, it was a big night in Weatherford at Loomis Field as I was on the call for the games there. And it was a big night for the Lady Eagles as they got a 4-0 win over Cash. And Symphony Welsh, a freshman midfielder, scored 2 goals. She had one in the 16th minute and one in the 15th minute. Andy McCoy, a junior midfielder, scored in the 47th minute. And then forward and big-time scorer for the Lady Eagles, Braylee Epp, got a goal in the 55th minute. And she was that was her 22nd goal of the season. So Braylee Epp, just a monster on the scoring. Sorry about that bang on the mic post. I'm kind of in transition of adjusting the studio here for Lawdog Sports, but anyways, it's a work in progress as always. But so that means that Weatherford will host Hilldale Friday at 7 p.m. after the Lady Hornets defeated Wagner 4-2. And so Weatherford in the home field advantage side until if they win this one in the semifinals, they would be on the road. But Fort Gibson defeated Skytook. I believe that was 1-0 final I saw. And then Chickasha defeated Newcastle 5-1 in a game that I think was actually delayed for a while and then restarted. So not certain about that, but seemed like the results on social media were a little bit spread out. But Fort Gibson takes on Chickasha in Fort Gibson Friday night at 7. And then, as I mentioned, the Clinton Lady Reds travel to Ulaga, and then a big upset in the girls' side of the Class 4A bracket as Oklahoma Christian School defeated Heritage Hall, who had been ranked number 1 a majority of the season, and they beat them 3-0. So that means the Lady Saints, who came to Loomis Field and defeated Weatherford in a penalty kick shootout, they move on to the quarterfinals. That's 3 teams from District 2 moving on to the quarterfinals. And I may be wrong on the district numbers. I have trouble remembering, but definitely the Western Oklahoma district with Clinton, Elk City, and Weatherford, but OCS in the same district with Clinton. So 3 teams from the same district. Newcastle could have made it 4, but they fell to Chickasha. So Victory Christian girls defeated Catoosa 5-3. So that sets up a matchup Friday night between OCS and Victory Christian, and then Oologah Talala versus Clinton, and the winners of those will face each other. So that's the girls' side of the bracket. And as I mentioned, it was a big night for the Lady Eagles as they defeated Cash 4-0, and they defeated them 9-0 early in the season. But a lot of things can change over the course of a season, and it looked like the Lady Bulldogs came in ready to play a little bit more than they had going into their 4th game of the season when they came to Weatherford. Now, on the boys' side, a lot of I hate to say chalk. It's hard to say, but as I mentioned, the Clinton Red Tornadoes got the 3-1 win over Medill. I would have predicted that. I didn't follow enough Northeastern Oklahoma soccer to know if Nathan Hale really had a chance in that or if Victory Christian was a heavy favorite. It's hard to say. But with the upper half of the bracket, Heritage Hall defeated Newcastle 4-1. That means that they will advance to the quarterfinals to take on Stillwell, who actually upset Wagner. And if you've ever been to Northeastern Oklahoma, you know that Stillwell and Wagner are just about 30 to 45-minute drive away from each other going toward Arkansas. But it was an upset score, if I saw the rankings correctly, and Wagner was at home, and they dropped a 6-2 result to Stillwell. That means that they'll take on Heritage Hall, and then Hilldale beat Shawnee 2-0, and that means that's who Weatherford will travel to play on Friday evening at 7 p.m. And if I'm correct, and let me double check, I may have to check my scheduling, but if I'm correct, it's going to be me and Chad Gray making the trip to Hilldale, which is a bedroom community, kind of an outskirt town of Muskogee. So it's just, if I remember right, going there in high school, it's just south of Muskogee. So we will be on the call on Weatherford Eagle TV, and I'm pretty certain, yes, that is going to Hilldale. So actually, Chad Gray, I think, is going to be. I'm not sure. I'll double check, but my engineer producer Chad Gray, he's actually going to be busy, I believe, with SWASU graduation. So we got that going on as well. So it's one of those situations where we're going to be a little bit spread out, but the boys game, we will be, I believe, in Hilldale to bring you play-by-play for that on Weatherford Eagles TV, right.media /1. And that's going to be a big game. Weatherford boys, face a pretty tough challenge against a really usually talented Hilldale team. They actually fell to Clinton in the state championship last season. But what we do have is also we'll have a second stream going for the girls game, and that's going to be with, I believe, Heston Wright will be on the play-by-play. So there'll be 2 different streams on Weatherford Eagles TV at right.media in which you can choose. You can choose the boys game on the road at Hilldale or the girls game at home versus Hilldale. So, maybe in hindsight could have figured out a neutral site or something, to save the travel for both teams. But I know the Lady Eagles are excited to play at home and they've earned it, and I can't blame them for that. But the Hilldale Hornets, they'll come into the game against Weatherford on the boys' side with a record of 14-2, and their only losses on the season, and I'm looking at one, and it was against Bartlett, Tennessee, which I'm going to just assume out there that was a out of state tournament they participated in, and then they lost to Class 6A Stillwater in overtime 2-1. So a tough Hornets team coached by Connor Schwab, and so we will see how the boys react for that. But last night, against Chickasha. It was a tight game. Score was 0-0 at the half, and then coming out of the second half, about 14 minutes in, it was Braden Hinton who broke the scoring with a goal, and then he got another one in the 66th minute. So 2 goals on the night for the senior midfielder Braden Hinton, and then Chickasha pulled one back, but Weatherford was able to hold off and win it 2-1. So a big win for the Eagles against the team that eliminated them last season. So that's your soccer roundup, and we've also covered your slow pitch softball. So let's go ahead and plan on getting out of here. There's so much else going on. It would be tough to get it all fit in. We've got golf and tennis and all kinds of regional action and golf, state tournament and in golf as well, and for girls and classes and things like that. But we will definitely try to share it on the Facebook page, Lawdog Sports, and also on Twitter every time we find it pertaining to a Western Oklahoma team. So we want to thank Newt Huntley from Sooner State Baseball Report. As I mentioned, be sure and follow them on Twitter, Sooner State Baseball Report, and then they are online with a full scoreboard website and previews and all kinds of great content at SoonerStateBaseballReport.com. So I will try to go live with Jeremy Schroeder on Friday morning. It may be tough because we've got to get around and get on to Muskogee for that game Friday evening, but we will try to get the pod out for you, at least on Facebook Live. If it's a little bit late on the YouTube page and on the SoundCloud page, I apologize. There may be some editing coming up on Saturday morning after we get back from Muskogee late Friday night. So we'll see how that goes. But we want to thank Newt Huntley from Sooner State Baseball Report for checking in and doing some great previews on baseball playoffs and state tournaments coming up. So be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure don't drink and drive. And we'll talk to you Friday morning at 9 a.m. when I visit with Jeremy Schroeder for the Weekend Big Show. Be safe. Talk to you then.